Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel Building Amazing Things. Today's video we're going to be designing this wonderful web page or a product page for Apple Vision Pro. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this page and also show you the animations that are also attached to this design. So make sure you watch this video to the end, like, share, and comment what you think about the design. Let's get started. So guys, we're on Figma right now. I'm going to share this link to this Figma file. Let me walk you through the Figma file before we get started. So the first page here we have is a cover page. Meanwhile, if you have not gotten a Figma file or registered on Figma, I left a link in the description for you to register, get started with Figma. Once you get started with Figma, the next thing is to access this link for this project. So I'm going to also drop the link in the description. Make sure you check out the link in the description. So the first thing here is the cover page. So I just did a little bit of design to actually explain what I'm working on here. Like I mentioned, we're working on Apple Vision Pro design. The next thing you want to say is the resources. So I pull up these resources from apple.com. So I go to apple.com and then I click on their Vision Pro and then get this. So what you could see here, this is a video. This first one is an image. I called it the Hero 2 video image, preview image. Then we have the Hero video 2. This is also a video. You could see once you click here, you could see, let me play this. You could see the video playing right here. I got this resource from Apple. And also this is also a video. This I call this the Hero video 1. So when you click on this and also play this, you're going to see the video for this. We also have a type scale which we're using, and also we have some icons which we'll also use. Then finally, the colors which are associated to this design. You get these resources on the design. Next thing is the design which we're going to do. So look at the design. We did a very simple design to just get users started with buying the product. You could just see immediately buy the product, and also build out some components also, which you could also access when you get access to this file. You could say the button components and you could play around with the button components to see how it looks like. And let's immediately look at what this design will look like while we prototype it. So I'm going to click the R key on the keyboard to run the prototype. You could see the entrance animation looks really interesting. I'm going to show you how to actually achieve this in this video. Make sure you watch to the end and subscribe if you're new to this channel. I make videos around Figma and how to turn your skills, your design skills into money. So let's look at the animation on this button. Really interesting. I'm going to also show you how to do that. And this as well, I'm going to show you how to do that. So without wasting much of your time, guys, let's start into the design process. So first of all, what I did was to sketch exactly the idea I want for my Figma design. I did some research, went to apple.com to look at what they already have, and then sketch my idea using iPad. I used a tool called Freeform on iPad and with my pen to actually sketch the design. I'm going to show you how I go about sketching that on my iPad. So here I have the tool called Freeform. So I will just open the Freeform tool, and I have a couple of sketch which I've done for different projects. So I'm just going to click the plus icon, the edit icon there. So I have this canvas for me to start sketching the idea of what I want. So immediately what I did was to have the size of the artboard which I want to work on. So you could check out when you click here, you could see the different tools for you to play around with. So I've selected this, and now I want to like add a logo of the Apple product and some important links that might be needed. A call to action to like tell the user, or you could let's say watch the product review or something. Then we want to have like a hero text that would be on the web page, and the subtext that will follow up with the hero text. Also want to have like the price outline here for users to also get to know the price immediately. Next, I want to have like an image or a video where necessary. So we're going to put this to show it's an image, and we'll also put the play buttons to show that this can also contain a video for the user. Next thing is to entice the user to actually go and buy this product. So I'm going to create a button for that, and I'm just going to call this button buy to actually entice the user to buy this. So this is what we're going to be creating, and this is the first thing I do. I do my sketch, and this is what we call the brainstorming part of your design. Get to think about what you want to do and how you want to actually align all of your design elements or design layouts in your design. Next, we're going to take this to Figma. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to create a new file here. And once you create a new file, you want to create pages. So let's create the first page. We'll call this page, let's say the design page, or let's call it the resource page. And the next thing I want to do is to create a new page. I'm going to call this page the design page. Now, having these two pages, I want the resource page to contain the resources. If you have opened the link, like I mentioned, you're going to get access to the resources. So I'll just go to the resources and style guide, and I'm going to just copy this and come to my design and then paste the resources here. Then the next is my design where I'll be designing. So I'm going to pick the artboard, and then I'm going to select the size of the artboard I want. So I'm going to come on frame and then go down to MacBook. Next, I'm going to go with MacBook Pro 14, and let's do our design there. Next thing I want to do is to bring in the sketch I did. So for now, I'm going to rename this. I'll call this Apple Vision Pro Design 2 because I already have one design made already. So I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this the landing page. Then next, what I'm going to do is to get my sketch into this. So I can open freeform here on my Mac because it's connected. Apple devices are usually linked together. So I'm going to try to open one of the sketch which I have done, and you're going to see how the sketch looks like. So I'm going to reduce this a little bit to, let's say, 25, and we'll see our sketch here. So what I can do is to screen grab this. I can use my screen grab and get this and go back to my Figma and then drag this into my Figma. So now I have the sketch to give me an idea of what I want to. So next is to also go to Apple. So I'm going to open a new browser, and then, sorry guys, I'll go to apple.com, and then I'm going to scan through the pages. So this is where I actually got the resources for this design. You could just check out apple.com to see what they already done. They're kind of marketing the Vision Pro right now. You could say pre-order. So, and that was the inspiration to go about doing this design. You could click on the Vision, and you could see how it looks like. And when you scroll, and you could see how the field looks like. Some of you might be curious how I got all of these resources from here. How did you get to download the image? So you could right click on the image and say, or a video, and say save video as, and select the location where you want that, and that will be saved. So go through this and draw inspiration from this. Another way to draw inspiration is to go to dribbles.com or Behance to also see what people are doing. But right now, we're going to do what I already planned for us to do right now. So I'll go back to my Figma file. Now I want to have another page. So I'm going to duplicate this page with Command D. I'm going to take this page towards the left. I'm going to rename this to components. So components are actually what I can use on my designs to actually build up what I want for the design. So looking at the components, the first thing here I want to start building out immediately is the buttons. So I want to build out the buttons, and it's very interesting that you learn this because it makes designs very easy for you. So I'm going to show you the powerful functionalities of components in design, components and variants in design. So make sure you learn this part of this design. It makes you to become a pro designer and makes you stand out from other designers in the in the community. So the next thing I want to do right now is to start building out the components. So to start, I'm going to pick my text. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And then I'll paste the text here. Then the next thing I want to do is to format this text. I'm going to format this text. I have some formatting here. So I'm going to make size 20 and I'm going to make the line height 28. And also I'm going to change the width to regular, and we have our text. And if you notice, the color of the text is 1D, 1D, 1F, and that is the color of the black color we have here. So the next thing I want to do is to add an auto layout. Auto layout is very interesting to add like paddings around a layout. So to do that, you could just hit on the plus somewhere at the top. If you don't see that, you could like right click and say auto layout, I think something like that, add auto layout. Yeah, you could use the command here. These are short commands that follow up, which is like Shift A. So I've added an auto layout. Once you do that, towards the right here, you're on the design panel, you're going to see auto layout. And you're going to like play around the paddings. So we have the horizontal paddings and the vertical paddings. So we're going to play around this to get what we want for our button designs. I hope you guys are enjoying this right now. I'm excited what the outcome will look like. So let's continue. So I'm going to make the left and right padding. I'm going to use 64 pixel, and I'm going to use the top and left padding. I'm going to make it 14 pixel. So you could see an imaginary spacing right now with our auto layout, which is very interesting. The next thing I want to do, I want to go back to our resources and then pick this color code, and then paste the color code here by hitting on the fill. So you have to hit on the fill first, and then you paste the color. Cool, we have this interesting color right now. So to make the edges curved, I'm going to go to radius, corner radius, and set this to 100, and we'll have a curved button. Then the text, I want to change it to white. Just hit on your keyboard, F to get the white color. Make sure you select the text. So if you see on the layouts panel, you could see we have the frame, which we just added with the auto layer. Then we have the text, which we just changed the formatting to white. One thing I want to make sure we do here is to reduce the opacity of the color white. So I'm going to reduce the opacity down to 80, and we'll have something cool like this. Let me zoom in so we see this really nice. And I'm a fan of naming the layouts or my elements of my design. So this will help other people who jump on the file to really understand what I'm doing. Right now, this is just frame 1. You could name this to be button. You could name this to be goat or cat. I'm just kidding. So now the next thing is to name this to be button. Always name your designs, design components. So I'm going to call this button. Now we have seen the power of auto layout, how we can use that to kind of add some properties like fill and add paddings around our design elements. Now we're going to advance our design into using what we call components. So at the top here, you're going to see what I call the create component. It's a tool to help you create a component. So what are components? Components are reusable elements of design. So instead of having, for example, if you're designing 2,000 pages and a situation where your boss comes in and say, change all the button colors. So you have to take your time and go through each pages to change that. And that is very tedious. So Figma has given us a great tool, which is the component, to help us streamline and make our work very fast and easy. So the next thing after creating the component, you want to notice that there's a pink color around this component or this layout. You get to see that it has changed to pink color. And this is telling us now we have a component. Then you want to see these 4 kind of dots that shows this as a component. Next thing I want to do is to create a variant. Now, a variant is a second, like a duplicate of the original component. So to create a variant at the top here, you could say add a variant or click on add a variant, and we have a duplicate of our component. Now let's look at the properties of each of these variants. So when you select the component, you could see that the variant has a very different design icon compared to what the component looks like. So I'm going to select the first variant or select the button component, and I'm going to rename this properties. So the first property there, I'm going to change it to type. So I'm going to change it. Okay, let's first start with color. Let's just start with type first. Sorry about that. Type. So in this type now, we could call this the blue type. We want to have different kind of buttons in our design. So if we look at the wireframe we have here, we have this first button and this second button. We want the first button to stand out from the second button. This is one of the principles of UI design. You need to understand hierarchy and how to draw importance to certain elements of your design. So now the next thing I need to do is, since I understand I'm creating two buttons, so I want to have like a black variant or a black type and also a blue type. So that's why I named this to type. So now when I double click here, I could, when you select the button variant, once you double click or hit the setting here, you could change the type. So when I select this first type, you could say it has created the default type. The next one is the variant 2. So for the default type, I'm going to name this to be blue. Then for the second variant, I'm going to also name it to be blue because this is a blue variant. Now you could see there's a complaint here on Figma. If you get this complaint, it's fine. Let's create other properties. So I'm going to hit the plus to create a new property and you select the variant. So the next property I want to create is the state. Now state, there are various states for elements, design elements. State is just the click state, the hover state. You're going to learn more of this when you start prototyping, and also you want to check out HTML to really understand some of this. Next, I'll click create property, and this new property is a state. I'm going to hit the setting tab here to kind of change what state this should be. So for the first state, it should be the default state, which is this. So make sure you select the first variant here. So I'm selecting this. If you look on your design, you see that you're selecting this. And then you change the state to, let's say, the default state. And for the next, you want to change the state to, let's say, the hover state. Once you hover on this button, what really happens on this button? So let's look at it. So we have the hover state, which is the first one, and the default state, which is the first one, then the hover state, which is the second one. I'm trying as much as possible not to bug you guys with a lot of variants and components, but it's very important that you get to understand this because it makes you stand out as a designer. Now, the next thing, I want some kind of icons on these buttons. And once I hover from the default state, the icon should show up. So I'll go back to my design resources and then I'm going to pick the Apple icon. So I'm going to select this first component and then do Command V. Command V. So we have this Apple icon. You could say our design is scattered already. Don't worry about that. We'll fix that. So make sure you're selecting the Apple logo, and then we're going to change the height of this. So select your scale tool or you hit K on the keyboard and change the height to 24. Now we want to change the color as well. So we're going to change this to white, double F, and we're going to make the opacity to be 80%. Now I'm going to increase the button, the outline for the component, and then I'm going to kind of hide this so that on the default button, you don't get to see the logo, but once you hover on the next button, you get to see the logo. Now, the spacing between this logo and the text, you could see it's 4 pixels. This is where you could change the spacing, call it the horizontal gaps between items. So I'm going to make this 8%, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to use the pass-through to make it 0. So I'm also going to copy this, go to the next button and paste it. This time around, I'm going to make the pass-through to be 100, and I'll use my arrow key to move it to the other side. Then remember to make the spacing 8 pixels. Now we have this. This is the first button, and this is the second button. Now you could see this kind of pass-through we use isn't working because we have the same width for the two buttons. So what I'm going to do is to hide this so we can reduce the width totally for this. Then for this, you could see this very well. So hide will be the best option than the pass-through. So guys, we have our first button, and next I want to create this, the other button, which will be the outline button. So I'm going to duplicate this by hitting the plus to add a variant. I'm going to take it up here. So this time around, I want an outline property. So I'm going to click plus and click on variant. I'm going to make this outline, and I'll click create. So I want to have outline true and false. So for this first two, it's not an outline button. So I'm going to make it false for outline. Then for this second variant, I'm going to make it true that we need an outline. Next, what I want to do is to remove the fill. We're going to pull off the fill, add a stroke. Now we're going to make the stroke 1.6 pixel. And the color of the stroke shouldn't be black because we already have our black color here. So let's pick up the color and come back to the design. I'm going to change this immediately to black, to the color we just copied. And I will make sure you could expand from the layout to make sure that the text color is also that color, and make sure it is 100%. And also you make sure the logo is also that color, which is the Apple logo. You can't see it because it's hidden. We clicked on this I2. So we're going to make it and make sure it is 100%. So the next thing I want to do is to kind of duplicate this by hitting the plus as well to get to the other state. So let me bring this down a little bit. Let's have something like this and this as well. So for this, what I want to do right now is to make sure that the icon is showing. So I'll just click here and make sure the opacity is 100. So I'll use the arrow key to bring it to the other part. Then you could see once there's a complaint, try to read what the complaint is all about. But I think the complaint is this should be the default state and this should be the hover state. That will fix the issue. No more complaint. So let me show you the interesting part of this. So let's hit on prototype and then let's select this and click add prototype. So we're going to just leave this as test and then let's play this and see what it looks like. But before we play this, I want to go to my assets. So when you create components, you could find those components on your assets. So on these components, you could drag the button which we have created. So let's run this test and see what it looks like. When you run the prototype, yes, we have the prototype. So now once I hover on this, there's nothing happening once you hover because I've not created the prototypes for it. So let's quickly create the prototype for each of these. So when you select the prototype type, select the flex, and then what you want to do is to make sure that you create a prototype. Once the event of an hover event happens on this button, it should come to this. So how can you do this? You could see these nodes around here. Just drag one node to the other node. Means you're connecting. It looks like you're connecting from this button to this button. So the next thing you want to play around the event. So the event here should be while hovering. When you hover on this, what happens? And it should change from type because we have the type blue down to the hover state, which is this. And then also make sure that it is smart animate. So smart animate makes it interesting. And we want to use is out back, and we want this to be 300 milliseconds. So this is the setting we're going to use. So right now, after creating that, we could run the test again and see what it looks like. So once I hover on this, I don't know if you see the introduction of the Apple icon, and it looks really, really interesting. So guys, let me know if you were able to achieve this, and I'll be glad to help out if you have any challenge. So the next thing I want to do is to also do the same thing for this. So select this and take it here and smart animate is out back, 300 milliseconds, not on click, make sure it's while hovering. Another interesting thing you see here is once I go to the design tab and select this button, I can use all of these properties and variants which I've created to easily decide what button I want. So if I want the outline button, it simply changes to outline. If I don't want the outline button, if I want the blue, I guess the blue. So for this, I'm going to select this two and then change this to black. Let's change it to black. So now I can now decide, oh, I want the black outline and I get the black outline, or I want the blue, or I want the hover type and I get all of these features. So we're done with this. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to delete this because we don't need it right now. We're just using it to test. I'll just hit the delete on the keyboard. So we have our first component. Let's continue our design. We're going to come back to the component to design one other thing. But right now, let's go to our design and then start designing. So the one thing you want to do here is the color of this page. We are going to design the black page, which is the 000. So we have the black page, and we'll come back to our layouts and go to our resources. I'm going to pick this logo because we need this logo, and come back here, and I'm going to paste this logo right here. So I'm going to change the color of this logo to white and reduce the opacity to 80. One thing I missed out on the components is that for this other button, we want the logo to be different. So what I'm going to do is to change this logo. So I'm going to go back to the resources and then choose the play button because that's what I want to use for the design. I want to use the play button. So I'm going to copy the play button and go back to our design. For here, I'm going to place the play button, use the scale tool, make sure the height is 20 pixels, and we'll have the play button. So we're going to hide the play button and delete the Apple logo. And then here, we're going to also add the play button and use the scale tool, make sure the height is 20. And then we're going to also delete the Apple logo. And then we're going to take the play logo to the other part. So that's just a quick change. So back to our design of the landing page, we're going to make sure that we want to create the header. If you look at our wireframe, we have the header and some navigation. Let me quickly do that so you guys will see. Now, for the header, we're going to make the height for this to be, make sure it's white and make the height. We're going to use 32 for the height. And then we're going to drag this point. So I don't know how to align this properly. I'm going to use a tool which is called the grid system to help us align things in our design. So I'm going to click on this and add what we call a layout grid. So I'm going to format this layout grid and use the popular column grid. And I'm going to make this 12. And then I'm going to make the margin from the left and right to be 100. And then I'm going to make the gutter space to be 24. So we're going to work in with this. So since I have this, the next thing I want to do is to take this to this point. I hope you guys can see this. So you could turn off the grid system with Shift G and you could show it with Shift J. I'm going to turn it off right now. Next thing is I need the text. So I need text for the menus. So I'm going to copy this text here and come back to the design. And I'm going to paste the text right here. So I'm going to do some basic formatting. The color of the text should be white, triple F, and make sure the opacity is 80. Then some of the format I'm going to do is to change the size to 16 and make sure that the line height is 24 and then make sure it is regular. So we have this text looking pretty here. So the first text I want to have here is I'm going to call this overview, like I got this from Apple website. So I'm going to duplicate this, Command D to duplicate and drag. So I'm going to rename this to guide tour. Finally, the last text, I'm going to Command D. I'm going to rename this to text space, text specs. This should be a specification. So next, I'm going to select the tree and add auto layout Shift A. Then I'm going to make the spacing between each of these auto layouts to be, let's use 32. That would be great. So let's say 32. Sorry. I'm going to make this 32, and I'm going to select the both of them and also add auto layout to it. And I'm going to make sure that the spacing between these two should be 64. I'm going to rename this to change it to 64. Then I want this to be centered, aligned, and then what next? I'm going to do the basic naming conversion, which I talked about. So this should be our nav. Then each component in the nav should be nav link. So you go ahead and name this nav link. I'm going to copy this and go here and also paste the name. Then this is the logo, well named. This is the nav. Then the top should be logo plus nav link. Here we go. Next is to get the button that will be towards the right here. So what I'm going to do is go to assets. So that's where we get the component of the button, which will be just designed. And I'm going to set this to the outline button thing. What do you guys think? The outline button would be the best button. So to do that, just go to the top and select the black and have that. So I'm going to change every color to white and make sure I use the 80% opacity. So now the text content for this will be watch tour. So you want to watch about the product or tours about the product. Cool. Next thing, I'm going to select everything. You could say I'm using auto layout. I'm trying to be more professional as a designer. I'm going to select both and use Shift A on it. And I'm going to turn on the grid system and make sure it starts from this point and I'll make sure it ends towards this point. So I'll drag it. Because this is not moving towards the airstream end, so you're going to set the auto layout to auto here. That's the spacing. And then you're going to set it centered align. Then the padding top and left, I'm going to make it 24 pixel and I'm going to drag it towards the top. So we have the first design which we want, which is the top navigation. Let me know if you were able to do this. Make sure you drop a comment, subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed, and like the video if you're enjoying the video. So the next thing, we're going to go back to our layout, which is we want the hero text, and then we want the price and some text to follow up with it. So I'm going to pick the text again and then come back to our design, and I'm going to paste this text right here. And next, I'm going to change the color to white and reduce the opacity to 80. And we're going to do some text formatting. So the text formatting we're going to do for this is to make this 48. And we're going to make the line height to be 72. And next, we're going to change the text content of this. So we're going to call this Apple Vision Pro. And next, I'm going to duplicate this, Command D, and I want to create the next text, which we're going to do the formatting to be 20. The type, let's use medium, and we're going to make the line height to be 26 or 28. 28, let's use 28. So the text content for this, we're going to say this should be welcome to the era of shell computing. Cool. So I'm going to select the both of them and add auto layout. So for this, I'm going to call this the header. So for this, I'm going to call this the hero text plus the subtext. And the next thing I want to do is to call this the hero text and then call this the subtext. Now, the spacing on this auto layout, we want to make sure that the spacing is just 10 pixels. Let's just reduce this to 10 pixels. We could use 8 pixels. Multiple of 8, 8, 10, 8, 16, 32. So we use a multiple of 8. The next thing is the price of the product. So you want to make the price somewhere. So I'm going to copy this text and select the frame, paste it here. I'm going to put the price around here. I'm going to call this price, let's say, on the Apple website selling at $3,499. I'm going to drag this to this point. So I'm going to select the both of them and add an auto layout on it. So I'll call this the text plus price. And then I'm going to select this, and because I want to align it, I can't really do that on auto layout. So I'm going to change the positioning to absolute position. So that way I could drag it to where I want. Then I can use the Alt key or the Option key and then make sure it's spaced 24 from this. So then I can now select this and make it centered align. And we have this on our design. So the next thing I want to do is to like check the spacing between the text and the hero or the header. So I'm going to select this, hold the Option key and drag this up, use your arrow key to get it to let's say 56. Cool. So we have this. So the next resource here we have is to get our image, which is this. So I'm going to get this and then bring it in and I'll paste it in. So this is a video. I'm going to make this center align. And if you look at this, I want the video to be below the text and the header. So we have the video right here. So I'm going to use the Alt key to kind of send this to the top. So let me see. So we're going to send this towards the top. So I'm going to keep moving it till I move it towards the top. So I use the Up key. I want to move it with a spacing of 11 pixel at the top. And I want to make it centered align. So the next thing, I can select this button and paste it here and bring it towards here and make sure that the spacing at the bottom, use your Alt key. I want to make it 112. Let's take this 112 and then I'll make it centered align. Then the text content should change to buy. And now the type, I want this to be blue. Cool. You could see how fast we could create design. We could just select the button. We don't have to like start designing the button again or start writing, filling the buttons with different colors and all of that. Cool. We have our design set up. Now for the next version of the design, I want to create the component that is needed for the next version of the design. So we want to create, so let's just play this and see how it looks like. So let's hit on the prototype, add play, and we'll call this, let's just call it play, and let's run this to see how it looks like. So when you run this, you see interesting. So this is a video, right? This is a video. So when you come here, you see that this is a video. And you have properties of video setting. You want it to loop, or you want to up the sound, or you want it to autoplay so you start playing immediately. And you could say this is a video. So I cannot edit this video because I am not using Figma Pro. So for you to have access to kind of edit this video the way you want, you need to have access to Figma Pro. So if you want to register for Figma Pro, I have the link in the description to register for Figma Pro. So what I can do is to move this to my file where I have Figma Pro, move it to the team where I have the Figma Pro. So I'm moving to my YouTube, and now I have access to like edit this video and choose whatever video I want and all of that. So if you want to register for Figma Pro, I have the link in the description. Click on it and it takes you to where you can register for your Figma Pro. Next, I want to do is let's play this again. Go back to your prototype tab and then hit the play right here, and you get to see it really nice playing right here in your design. Cool. And the buy with the animation that we did earlier on the company. So we're going to do more animations on this. Stay tuned, guys. We're almost wrapping up the video. I hope you're enjoying it. Like and share to people you think they want to learn UI UX. So the next thing is to design the next component. So I'm going to like kind of go back to the design and then bring this down a little bit. So let's go back to our resources. I'm going to pick the first, which is the image. I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to make this a component. So I'm going to call this hero video. So I'm going to click this and call it hero video. I'm going to make it a component and I'm going to create a variant. So let's increase this and increase this a little bit. So drag this. I'm going to delete the other variant and just drag this towards this point, make it at the center. So for this component, I'm going to change the property to type. So I want a preview image before the video will start playing. So I'm going to call this a preview. Then I'm going to get the video, which is this. I'm going to copy this and come to the design, and I'm going to paste this here. So this should be the video, and I'm going to select the component. And because I dragged it in here, it's not going to be a component. It's not going to be a variant of this component. So I have to, I have to bring it out and make it a component, and use my command X, select and paste it in, and it becomes a variant of this component. I hope you understand that. I hope you do. So the next thing I want to do is to select this and select this. So I'm sure about that. Select this and then call this the video. So I spelled that. I hope I spelled that correctly. I think it's the A before the O. That's correct. Next, I'm going to bring this towards the top here and then create an animation or a prototype. So I want at some time, this should show up before the video will show up. So what will I do? I'll go to prototype and just drag this towards this point and I get this setting. So I want after some delay of, let's say 300, 100 milliseconds, which is like 3 seconds, I want it to change to the video type. So we have the default. I named this, I thought I named this to be preview. So I bring back to preview. Let's go back to the prototype. So zoom in, select this, get this. So I want to call this from change to the preview and then smart animate, or we could choose the default dissolve as another means of our animation. So you could play around all of this to see how they look like. And I'm going to make this to be is in, and I'm going to do this just this. So this after 300 milliseconds, it will start playing this second one. Now let's create the other design. We're done with this component, which is the hero tool. So let's go back to our design. Now if you look at the animation, there's kind of a white background that comes from the left towards the right. So how are we going to do this? So I'm going to select like a shape, and I'm going to call this shape background. Then next, I'm going to change the color of this background. I'm going to select this and make this background. I'm going to pick this color as the background. Then for the height and width, I'm going to select 512 for width. Then for height, I'm going to select 982 for the height. So I'm going to select this and make this 982. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to take this background into this frame. So I'm going to Command X or Control X and paste it there. Cool. Next thing, I want to drag it towards the right because it will come in, and make sure that the background is beneath all your layouts. So I'm going to take the background and bring it towards, maybe bring it to the top. Yeah, that's what we want. We want it to slide in from the top. So what next am I going to do? So once I select this, I'll keep moving it. You could use your shift to make sure it moves on a straight line. Then you use your space bar. When you use your shift, then hold your space bar to make sure it doesn't go out from this frame. I've moved it this way, and that's cool. Next thing, I want to get this element. Also, I'm going to go to Assets and select the video tool and add it here. So I'm going to make sure that this video tool have the same size with this. So let's take this and use the scale tool here to kind of scale this to make sure that it's of the same size. Cool. So we are going to take this very one towards the right. Remember, hold your space bar for it not to move out of the design. Cool. Now we have this, so we could now duplicate this and then bring it down here. Now we're going to call this the 2, and we'll call this the landing page 1. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to change the color settings for this landing page 2. So what I can do is change the background. Okay, we could then take the background and make it centered align, and then we'll make sure that we send it towards the back. Then we are going to hide this image, which is the Hero 1 video. We're going to click on the hide on this design. Then we select the text here. We're going to turn each of them to the black which we have on the resource here. So I'm going to go here and then I'll change this color to black, and then make sure this is 100. And also at the top, I'm going to change everything to black and make sure this is 100. Cool. Then we have the Hero 2 image as well. So I'm going to make it centered align. Cool. So we have 2 designs, and we're going to like play around the animation to see how this is going to look. I'm already excited what this will look like. So I'm going to take this towards the top here, and then let's create the prototype to see how this will look like. So I'm going to select this and go to prototype, and then I'll drag this towards this point, and let's do the prototype setting. So I want, after a delay, let's say of 3 seconds, after a delay of like 3000 milliseconds or 3 seconds, then I want it to move to landing page 2. Then I want it to kind of moving from the right, to come in from the right. Then I want also to match in layouts. So it will kind of use the smart animations to kind of match in these layers and make sure that these layers kind of moving from where they are supposed to move in from. Then also I'm going to change this to custom. I'm going to change this to custom curve, and I'm going to take this a little bit this way, guys, and also take this a bit this way. So we'll just have like this kind of basic curve. And that's all we can do right now. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to this design, and let's say this very design, and select design. I'm going to bring this down. We could take this up a little bit. Let me see. We could set this to be centered align. Make sure it's centered align. I don't think it's centered align yet, so I'm going to make it centered align. And I think it is, but this isn't looking centered align. Okay. I think something stopped here. Let's see, centered align. So we're going to make sure it's centered align. So one way to do this is you can take it a little bit and maybe on the other image and make sure it matches towards this other image. Cool. So we're going to turn off the other image, which is the Hero 2, and we have that. Looks now centered align. So the next thing is we could bring this text, we could bring the text closer, or we could bring it down a little bit on this. So let me bring it down to this point. So it's going out of this frame. Make sure you use your space bar when you hold shift. So bring it this, and then we're going to play around with the pass through. We're going to make 0. So on the pass through, it should be true here. So guys, let's run the play again. So hit on the prototype, hit on the play. This time around, I want to extend this, and let's see how it looks like. So we're waiting for it to play. Cool. So notice something. We're going to go on prototype, and we're going to make this custom size, and let's see what it looks like. So next thing I want to do is change the color of the background. Let's go back to this and pick this color. I'm going to change the color of the prototype, come back to design, change the color of the prototype from black to this. Let's go back to our prototype. So if you want to play the prototype, hit the R and it starts playing. Interesting. And let's see. So fast. It happens so fast. Let's say that again. So yeah, and this happens so fast. So one way to make it slow a little bit, you could come on the prototype and say, let's say after a delay, 300 milliseconds. So the transition should happen after like 2000 milliseconds. So let's do that, 2000 milliseconds, and let's see what happens. Refresh. Interesting, and it looks amazing. So guys, you could say changes to that and place. Let's try it again. And the button kind of slide in. You could see the animation on the button. Very interesting. And changes to this, and you could see this. So guys, this is the end of the video. Make sure you like and share and comment. This is one way you could help me promote the video. You could send me some thanks in the video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next video where I'll talk about more design and maybe design tips to help you grow, and also freelancing tips to help you get started with your freelancing career.